Good morning. We will call to order the December 17th, 2024 Blue Earth County Commissioners meeting. Those that are able, please join us for the pledge to our flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 2 on the agenda is the agenda review. Mr. Meyer, please.
Mr. Chair, there's just one minor adjustment to item number, it's tab 17, the 2025 budget. We did set a revised resolution in front of the commissioners. We just had a typo on that form. So other than that, the agenda is unchanged.
So the numbers are all complete or correct as they were put out, but the total up on the top was the only.
Yeah, in the narrative portion, the dollar amount didn't match the dollars below, and so we've corrected that now.
Okay.
Move approval.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to approve as amended. Any discussion? Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The agenda is approved as changed. Item number 3, tab number 1 on the agenda is the County Ditch 78 final hearing. Mr. Meyer, would you review the agenda, please?
Mr. Chair, there are no changes to the agenda today.
Okay, seeing no changes, ask for a motion to approve.
So, second.
And motion and a second, discussion. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The agenda is approved for the County Ditch 78 final hearing. It's no secret to many in this room to know what year I graduated or to know what some other people year are born. That's 78. I am a landowner on this ditch, so I will recuse myself from voting on at this hearing. Okay, Craig, please start us off.
Okay. As far as jurisdictional documents, we had a landowner informational meeting on November 13th, 2024. Hearing notices were mailed on November 20th, 2024. Notice was posted for this hearing outside the Blue Earth County Historic Courthouse located at 204 South 5th Street, Mankato, Minnesota. Notice of a public hearing was also published in the Mankato Free Press for 3 consecutive weeks. Part of this will be in addition to the order establishing. If that happens, if it's established, there will be a resolution to finance. Reading the DNR, I guess next thing I'll do is I'll read the DNR Commissioner Advisory Report into the record as required by statute. DNR from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, Ecological Water Resources, Region 4 out of New Ulm. Regarding the final engineer's report for improvement of Blue Earth County Ditch number 78, Branch 1. Blue Earth County Drainage Authority. Thank you for the opportunity to review the final engineer's report for the proposed Blue Earth County Ditch 78, Branch 1 improvement project. The advisory report commissioned by the Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources aims to provide expert analysis and recommendations in accordance with the guidelines specified in the Minnesota Statutes 103E.301. Your consideration is greatly appreciated. Overview. Blue Earth County Ditch 78 is a drainage system that covers 9,420 acres primarily in Garden City and Vernon Center townships. The main ditch flows northeast to the unnamed stream classified as a public water by the DNR. The current improvement petition focuses on a 435-acre portion of the watershed, which consists of gently rolling agricultural land with an elevation difference of 28 feet in the project area. Notably, no known wetlands are within 1 mile of the improvement zone. In 2018, part of the Branch 1 and its laterals were improved, including installing larger tiles to enhance drainage capacity and modify the ditch bank for additional water storage. Branch 1 discharges into an open channel ditch classified as a public water course. The current petition seeks to extend these improvements to the remaining portion of Branch 1 tile continued from where the 2018 project left off. The final engineer's report proposes upgrading a section of the existing branch 1 tile from 18 to 24 inches to enhance water management and drainage efficiency in the system. Number 1, the survey report status. The following is the analysis of the survey report conducted by the DNR. Point 1, current and potential flooding characteristics of the property in the DNR project or system downstream for the 5, 10, 15, and 50-year flood events, and it's under 103E.5015 subdivision 1.4. The DNR's analysis of the outputs from the HydroCAD model provided by ISG along with the data published by the FER yields the following evaluations. The proposed project's no increase of peak flow rate was observed during storm events with the 5, 10, 25, and 50-year return periods compared to an existing conditions of the County Ditch 78 outlet. However, the report did not compare the flow, velocity, and the volume at Branch 1 and County Ditch 78 outlets. The pond node 45P on the road elevation is 998 feet based on the LiDAR data, while the model output indicates the peak elevation is 999.53 for a 50-year storm event. This suggests that the overtopping could occur during a 50-year or storm event, larger storm event. As a result, protective measures of the outlet structure and the proposed storage ponds are necessary to prevent potential overtopping and associated flooding. The pond node 45P, the existing culvert is 380 feet long. It is extended to 1,096 feet in the proposed scenario. Please explain the reason for the difference. The pond node 45P, the slope of the existing culvert is 0.0012, while the proposed condition is 0.0020. However, the report indicates that the slope of the existing and proposed plans is the same. Please explain the discrepancy. The hydrologic soil in the watershed of CD78 is primarily classified as CD. The model applied a curve number of 75, which is too low for this region for B, C, and D soils groups. The CN curve number should be over 85. This area predominantly consists of silty clay loams supported for the need of an adjusted curve number. The pond nodes 45P and 44P, the final routing parameter is set to 2 for existing and 3 for the proposed conditions. A consistent approach is recommended, therefore selecting either 2 or 3 for both existing and proposed conditions is advisable. For future reports, please include a table summarizing the accurate peak outlet flow, total volume, and velocity for all storm events for easy comparison. This will be more effective than directly copying and pasting the model outputs into this report. This is a DNR request for making any permit decision that will be required for all projects being reviewed for permit considerations. Next point, alternative measures to reduce potential impacts under 103E.015 subdivision 1 and 2, and the adequacy of the outlet for the drainage project. The outlet stability is essential for determining the adequacy of an outlet and whether a project can proceed. However, the current elevation by the DNR lacks sufficient data to accurately assess the adequacy of the County Ditch 78 and Branch 1 outlets. Based on the information provided in the report and the model, the DNR cannot definitively determine if the outlets are adequate. The DNR intends to assess the adequacy of the outlets 2 years after the improvements have been completed. If any instability or detrimental impacts on the downstream water are identified, after the fact permit may be required to address these project-related impacts. 2, the proposed project is of public benefit or utility under 103E.015 subdivision 1. based on the analysis of hydraulic and hydrologic data and the impact assessments for the proposed option of the public waters, the Department of Natural Resources is unable to confirm the existence of a public benefit or utility under the proposed conditions. Number 4, the public waters work permit requirement will be decided. The conditions or need for a public waters work permit will be determined based on the DNR assessment conducted 2 years after the construction is completed. If sufficient erosion of the channel beds or banks is identified, an after-the-fact permit may be required. This decision to require a permit will be based on the observed adverse effects such as bed and bank erosion at the outlet locations, especially at the County 78 outlet. DNR will review photographs and field data documenting conditions for the 78 outlet to the unnamed public watercourse. If you need help ensuring your project meets the criteria outlined in the public works permit rules, please get in touch with the area hydrologist Katie Wiggin at katiewiggin@statemn.us. 5. The DNR's policy on add-ons and extensions in county ditch improvements. The DNR requests that the modeling and design of drainage projects consider all potential future additions or extensions to the existing drainage system. This will help determine whether a public waters permit is required and what mitigation measures may be necessary. Recently, some drainage projects in Blue Earth County have included previously planned branches but left out the original project due to the landowner opposition, which has since changed. To prevent the issue in the future, all proposed drainage improvements should be evaluated and included in the preliminary engineer's report from the start of the project. If an extension or branch segment improvement is proposed and was not included in the original drainage improvement project evaluation, a comprehensive 2D model such as InfoWorks ICM will need to be developed and or updated for the entire drainage project. The holistic review for potential impact and approved thoroughly reevaluates improvements for the whole system rather than focusing solely on the additional branches or extensions as standalone impacts. Based on this reevaluation need, the public waters or work permit may be required for such proposed improvements or drainage system where the public water impacts are expected due to the project. Additionally, the DNR does not support the significant proposal changes between the preliminary engineer's report and the final engineer's report phases. All potential practices and proposals must be included and designed for review within the revised preliminary engineer's report. If significant project changes arise, the DNR will request a resubmission for the revised preliminary engineer's report to accommodate these modifications and ensure our review and comments are consistent with the most recent preliminary engineer's report revision. Please send the response to this letter and revised final engineer's report, meeting minutes, and findings of fact and order issued by the Drainage Authority regarding this proposed improvement to the DNR when they becomes available. Please submit these documents or any questions about this letter to the regional email at region4drainagednr@stateofminnesota.us. This is from signed Todd Colander, EWR Southern District Manager. Okay, next we'll go on to the memo here. This hearing is about a petition improvement to County Ditch 78. The purpose, the Blue Earth County Ditch 78 watershed is approximately 9,200 acres in size and located in Vernon Center Township and Garden City Townships. A petition for improvement of Branch 1 was received on May 30th, 2023. On July 11th, 2023, the Drainage Authority appointed Charles J. Brandel as engineer of ISG to prepare detailed survey report. Mr. Brandel submitted the detailed survey report to the Property and Environmental Resources Department on September 5th, 2024. The hearing is for the final approval of the project. The board will be determining if all statutory requirements have been met. If so, the board will order the establishment of the improvement as found in the attached draft findings in order.
Okay, we've heard the jurisdictional documents and notices as well as reading of the DNR advisory report. That would be appropriate to have a motion and a second to accept those jurisdictional documents.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Discussion. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. Jurisdictional documents in the DNR advisory report are accepted into the legal record. We're at item number 4. I'll ask the appointed engineer to present the engineer's detailed safety survey report. Good morning.
Good morning. Again, Chuck Brandel with ISG.
Jacob Mueller with ISG.
So we're going to go through the presentation. We may skip a few things. We've had multiple landowner meetings on this project. I want to remind everybody that this project, I'm just going to go to the map, is a continuation of an improvement that was completed back in 2018. There was a small section of public tile that was not improved at that time. Landowners in the system petitioned to extend that, so we're talking about 1,000 feet of tile that dumps into an improvement that was sized for this area, a storage basin that was sized for this area, and a model that was included back in 2018. We did not redo the model because the model had been set up at that time to include this. We've designed the storage area already, and it seems to be working fairly well. So we have a slide on DNR comments, but I just kind of wanted to address that at the beginning, that a lot of this was designed, and we did meet with DNR staff back in 2018. The model was acceptable at that time, so we didn't feel like we should spend the money to redo it. So I'm gonna let Jacob run with this for a little bit here.
Yeah, for sure. So just a little bit of background on this. CD 78 primarily lies within Garden City and Vernon Center townships. The entire watershed is a little over 9,000 acres. The area that this improvement will drain is a little over 430 acres. Throughout the entire watershed, there's about 130 feet of fall. Soil types are CD, which just means there's a lot of clay in the soil, relatively slow infiltration rates, and it's predominantly agricultural land. Chuck had kind of shown this map a little bit up to this point. Again, the areas in purple, the purple tile in branch 1, this is the 2018 improvement. This was sized for 1/2 inch per day drainage coefficient and achieved 5 feet of cover depth. The orange boundary you can see is open channel storage. So this is an area where at that time in 2018 the channel was over widened and a control structure was put in place to provide a measure of storage for branch 1 being the present improvement and future potential work. Here we can see an elevation map. You can see areas in white and red are generally the high areas. Areas in green and blue are generally the low areas. So this watershed predominantly flows from the southwest to the northeast.
One other note, there has been a culvert that was replaced by Blue Earth County last year, and that has more than adequate capacity for the system. That was double checked. I got to do a review on that. Just the system has had some significant review. So.
Yep. So, bit of history on the system. The CD78 system was officially established as CD78 in 1944. Prior to that, it kind of consisted of 4 other systems, being CD13, CD33, Vernon Center Township Ditch Number 1, and an existing private ditch. So all of those were merged in 44 into a singular public system. There have been subsequent improvements to the system in 1948, 1950. Portions of some of the open ditch in the system was converted to tile. And then, as we said, in 2018, about 6,100 feet of branch 1 was improved and a storage area was included. This is a photo from back in 2018 or 19 when that storage was constructed. You can see where the ditch was over widened. I believe this is a view from the downstream end.
Yep.
So looking at existing capacities, we can see here numbers in red is what was improved in 2018. So this starts out as a 48-inch, necking all the way down to a 24-inch at the beginning of what is the presently proposed improvement. As you can see, this all achieves about a ½ inch per day drainage coefficient, or 0.5. And it's really just this last segment of the public tile which remains at a 0.21 inch per day drainage coefficient. Currently, this area has about 2 feet of cover over the pipe, which is not desirable from a longevity standpoint.
Really, it probably should have been replaced back in 2018, but the petition ended at a property line. We had to stop where the petition ended.
So looking ahead to this present design, kind of finalizing what was done, the proposed design would consist of a few things. First and foremost, like the previous improvement, we would achieve 5 feet of cover depth. It would size it for a ½ inch per day drainage coefficient, which is industry standard for this area. We ensure that the outlet remains adequate for the system, look at alternative BMPs as necessary, and then finally we look to see at the cost benefit analysis, being that benefits exceed the net cost of the project. So getting into the proposed design, this is an upsize from an 18-inch to a 24-inch for about 1,100 feet. So we'd be going from a 0.21 inch per day drainage coefficient to a 0.52 through that upsize, and we achieved that 5 feet of cover. Here you can see on the map, again, the tile in purple is the previous improvement, and the tile in green is the presently proposed improvement. This would extend from that property line we had mentioned, just south of the east-west road. I think it's 150th Street. So again, about 1,100 feet of tile, sized to the capacity of the downstream tile. Following this improvement, the existing public tile would be abandoned adjacent to where the proposed tile would be installed. This would simply function as a private header to whichever landowner is currently utilizing that line. A little bit on storage here. So the existing branch 1 storage is located in section 3 of Vernon Center Township. Again, this is essentially just an over-widened ditch which allows additional storage capacity beyond what was presently there. And this was sized for the full branch 1 watershed at the time. Looking a bit into modeling, again, like Chuck had said, we utilized our previously developed model in an effort cost savings and as it was previously found acceptable by the DNR in 2018. So this is a HydroCAD model. Data inputs are the same as previous, just ditch system data being tile lines, ditch, legal grades for those. We use NOAA Atlas 14 rainfall data. So essentially we already had this model developed and utilized that as our existing or ASIC as constructed model and just modified it for the proposed improvement.
And we did cover this at the PER hearing and determined that the outlet was adequate at that point, and the project hasn't changed at all from the PER. So
yeah, that's a good point. So a bit of the modeling results on this. So this branch 1 improvement is very far up in the watershed. Storage was already implemented to account for this. So this doesn't result in, at the system outlet, there is no alteration to peak outlet flow rate and no measurable alteration to outlet volume. For the 5, 10, and 25-year event, there's a very minor uptick on the 50-year event. So very minimal changes. So with that, we believe that the outlet is still adequate. Looking a bit into project costs.
yeah, I can cover that. We did look at separable maintenance as part of the system. To replace the line that's there would cost about $88,000. Now that line's only 2 feet in the ground. That really isn't advisable. To improve this line is $108,000. That includes some road authority costs for the township to cross the road. When you look at that difference in cost, it's about $19,000. The benefits, which Mr. Ringquist will go over, is about $32,000. So you can see that the costs are less than the benefits, thus the project meets the requirements of the statute. So I'm just going to skip over this section because we've covered a lot of this with landowners. We did look at a multi-purpose drainage management plan. We already have storage built into the system. We will use water quality inlets at the road crossings. For the DNR comments, we did put a summary letter of those and did submit that. Just very briefly summarize them. We did a model back in, we started it back in 2016, that was approved in 2018. We feel that a lot of the comments are in relation to why shouldn't we remodel it? Well, we have a system in place, we have a storage basin in place, it all works. It has been working. So really, most of the comments, I think we've addressed that the previous model was acceptable. So I can go into it line by line. One thing I'll say on that, the request for future additions and extensions, we cannot do that. When a petition comes in, we have to look at what the petition is. As drainage authority, as a drainage authority staff, the drainage authority's engineer, we have to look at the project ahead of us. Now, in this case, we did design this for this extension back in 2018, but we can't predict what improvements are going to be coming as part of a system. Somebody could petition for a large storage basin, they could petition to take water a different direction. We don't know that at the time, so I just wanted to comment on that is a very tough comment to respond to, because we have to take what is legally petitioned in front of us, so. So at this point, we feel the project is cost-effective, practical, feasible, and necessary, and would recommend moving forward with it. Again, it was a project that, if we had enough petitioners at that time to extend it, it would have been done, but we did plan for it, so. Thank you.
Okay, any clarifying questions for the engineer?
Not at this point.
All right, we'll go to item number 5 on the agenda. That's the viewer's improvement report.
Map of the watershed up. Okay. There we go.
Good morning. My name's Ron Rehnquist. I'm one of the 3 viewers that worked on the improvement of this. We also did the improvement and redetermination of benefits on this project back in 2018. Because this was so recently redetermined and all of the values were updated to 2018, we did not request the board to appoint us to do a redetermination to update these values to the current values. We know land values are up some, but because there was adequate benefit, we felt even utilizing the 2018 values, it would have been an additional cost and would not have significantly changed the assessment role for adding in this improvement. So our report then only addresses that 435 acre watershed affected by the extension of lateral 1. We did that based on the 2018 values, and in 2018 we left benefits to all of those contributing properties so that improvement either through public petition or privately could be done, and so that when equal benefits were received by all properties within that watershed, at that time the benefits would be similar to those on the improved system from 2018. So we did that then by making an adjustment in our proximity rate, which accounts for how close a property is to what we deem as an adequate outlet. This project did not extend an outlet to all properties, but available because it brings it 1,000 feet closer. Those within at the end of the improvement, where they directly do have the improved outlet, receive 10% increased in value, and the further away from that improvement you got, it goes down to where some of the properties only got a 1% of their potential improvement because it did not provide an outlet directly to them. Damages for the temporary easement were calculated based on a 2-year cash rent basis, 1 year for the construction, and then a systematic reduction of impact over the next 2 or 3 years where full production would not be achieved. So it was a $600 per acre 2-year cash rent type of consideration. With those considerations, we've determined that the net benefit for the improvement is $32,378.25, with 3.3 acres of temporary damage for $1,650.
Great. Any clarifying questions on the viewers report? At this time, thank you, Robert. At this time, we'll open the public comment portion of the hearing. If you'd like to make a comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Comments from the public are expected to be civil and respectful. Please note this meeting is being recorded. There's a 5-minute time limit. County Administrator will give you a 1-minute warning and let you know when you've used the allotted time. In addition, the board may restrict or limit the time allotted to a person whose remarks are repetitive or not relevant to the matter under consideration by the board. Is there anyone wishing to make comments on County Ditch 78 repair report? I'll ask, is there anyone wishing to make comments on CD 78 report? And I'll ask for a third and final time, is there anyone wishing to make comments for County Ditch 78 repair report? Seeing and hearing none, I will close the public comment portion of the hearing and bring this hearing back to the Drainage Authority Board. If there's no further discussion, a motion and a second to approve the presented detailed survey report and viewers report, including in the findings in order, would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion.
I don't have any questions, Mr. Chair. This has been a project that's been going on for quite a while, so we're all familiar with it.
All right, are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The findings and orders is accepted as presented. Okay, do I do the resolution or do you do the resolution?
I guess you've done it in the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
With that last action, we also have a resolution to finance for this proposed improvement. It would be appropriate for a motion and a second to adopt the resolution to finance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. We're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried, the resolution to finance is adopted. This concludes the County Ditch 78 improvement hearing. Thank you. We'll transition into agenda item number 4, planning and zoning. People, thank you for those that attended. Next item on the agenda, planning and zoning. Staff are here to present their action items. This is a public hearing. Public comment will be allowed in just a moment. Comments from the public are expected to be civil and respectful. Please note this meeting is being recorded. There's a 5-minute time limit. County Administrator will give you a 1-minute warning and let you know when you use the allotted time. In addition, the board may restrict or limit the time allotted to a person whose remarks are repetitive or not relevant to the matter under consideration by the board. I'll ask planning and zoning staff to introduce themselves for the record and introduce the first item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Garrett Rolfing, Property and Environmental Resources. PC 41-24 is a request from Brian J. Ingalls and J.T. Ingalls, which is a request for review and approval of a conditional use permit to construct and operate a 102 by 192 total confinement swine finishing barn. The barn will have a capacity of 2,400 head of finishing swine weighing between 55 and 300 pounds for a total of 720 animal units. The proposed barn will have an 8-foot deep concrete below barn storage pit with 12 months of storage. The total number of animal units after construction will be 720. The property is zoned agricultural and is located in the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 6, Judson Township, Blue Earth County. Staff presented the report to the Planning Commission. The applicant was present and had no comment. 12 members of the public attended the meeting and provided comment on the proposal. Members of the public expressed concern on traffic and safety issues, screening of the use, ground and surface water impacts, property values, and odor. Planning Commission members and staff addressed comment by summarizing compliance with existing state and county standards. Following the discussion, the Planning Commission voted 5 in favor and 1 against to forward a recommendation of approval to the county board based on findings and conditions recommended by staff. I will mention in the staff report during the planning commission meeting, there was a condition that was intended to be included, it was not, and that is the barn corners are surveyed to the nearest dwellings. We had some discussion on it during the meeting. It was intended to be in there and was just missed. That has been added since then. So the board action is passage of the resolution based on the recommendation of the planning commission. Thank you.
All right, you've heard the report. At this time, we'll open the public comment portion of the hearing. If you'd like to make a comment regarding PC 41-24, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone wishing to speak on 41-24? Good morning.
Morning. Jeff Schmidt, 23070 506 Lane. Can you read, did you guys all get this piece of paper that we put together? Does he need to read that? The guy that's doing the reading? Do you need to read this for everybody or not? Or you just read it
Leave that
yourself?
up to you, Mr. Chairman.
It's really not necessary.
It'll be in the record, correct?
Right.
Okay, well, the residents are concerned of the devaluation of properties, traffic safety highway on 68, and excessive semi-trucks, airborne and water quality that runs into the no-name creek that's a spring-fed creek. You guys have the attachment of 9, and that describes all the different reasons. I've circled what I think hasn't really been addressed, which has to do with water quality. There's already one well that we know of in the area that's contaminated from all the hog manure that's been put on the fields in the past. If you go down the line there, there's a no-name creek where this will be set just to the north of that. Do you guys have maps of that? It's attachment 6. That's where the hog confinement's going to be, and they're going to be spreading manure in that whole area. That's a stream that's a spring-fed stream. It never usually freezes, only in some certain spots, but it flows all the time. That's where all the runoff will eventually get to, even though it's going to be cut into the ground. We understand how that works. But it's going to run through an area and then eventually end up in the river is where it ends up going to. But, you know, I talked to several neighbors there that like the stream the way it is, and they watch the wildlife that comes and drinks out of the stream. Most of the people that are closer to the other hog farms that are in the area there are overwhelmed with as much manure that's been being spread in the area and the smell. They just can't even go outside. We're further to the north than the other 2 confinements, but when we research the people to the south, they're just overwhelmed with how much is going on in the area. And a lot of people have been sick. There's been air quality issues where they can't go outside. They can't even eat during lunch or when they spread the manure. I think we made a list of how many trucks and things are going on there. That's on that sheet that we provided, but it's a lot of trucks ranging, you know, from in the fall 190 some units of manure is going to be spread in those existing fields. Property value is 20 to 40% less with hog farms that are that close to everybody there, and you can see that people are, well, they're in that kind of I was kind of devastated when I went that direction and talked to the people, because they say we don't even know what to do. Our houses can't even live here hardly. We're to the north, but we're going to end up getting all the southwesterly flows that'll be coming at us to the north, and those people are in the same general vicinity. There's Dan, what is his name? Wendy, what's his name? Dan Gertz. He's right next to it, and he was trying to live there with his family, and just too, he didn't even know what he's going to do. He was in tears at the last meeting because
1 minute remaining.
their whole family is wondering what they're going to do, have to move because of the way it's going to be there. MnDOT, we checked with MnDOT. They didn't approve anything there. If you go down all those circles that I have there, all those still have not been provided with answers that really, how do you want to say it, don't adapt to the neighborhood. But MnDOT hasn't seen anything there, and the people can't go outside, smell the runoff. I don't know, I circled the ones that are there. The swine flu stuff there, you can read those maps, I gave you those. And we hope that the board can at least take a closer look at it. You know, the safety of the trucks coming and going along the highway there. Somebody's going to end up getting killed because there's a poor approach there for that too. I guess that's all.
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we'll ask anyone else wishing to make comments on PC 41-24. I'll ask a third and final time anyone wishing to make comments on PC 41-24. Seeing and hearing none, I will close the public comment portion. I'm going to bring it back to discussion to the board. How many comments from the board? I guess a couple questions that I've got. This would be required to have a manure management plan, correct?
Correct, yep. One has been submitted, we do a quick review on it, and then it goes through a full review for the, it's called a construction short form permit. That is an MPCA provided form that the county issues for the feedlot to be constructed, and a manure management plan is required for that.
And that typically with the hog manure is injected, correct?
Correct, that is what is in the plan for them currently.
Okay. I'm a farmer, but not a hog farmer, but I did have 795,000 gallons of manure I bought this fall for fertilizer, so well familiar with this, and certainly safety is always a concern. I think our truck drivers do a pretty good job as they move that, so I appreciate that. Other qualifying questions or other questions from the board?
I don't have any questions, Mr. Chair, but I do want to just add a little bit of the discussion that happened at the planning and zoning meeting. Of course, I'm the representative there, and there was many more people at the meeting that testified, and there are a lot of legitimate concerns that we've all heard in the past with these hog operations. I appreciate the staff putting the condition in there that it does meet the requirements with a survey, because this one does have a very small envelope that it's going to fit in. These are very difficult decisions for the county board. We are representing an ag district. This is allowed in the ag area. We unfortunately can't put them in the city and in an industrial area until we can find a way to deal with the smells and some of these issues. There are always going to be some concerns out there no matter what we do. So it does fit all the requirements. I will be supporting this today. In the past, we have looked at many different options and managements, probably even before you two got here in this position, but we've looked at some of those filters and all those other different modifications that you can make to hog operations, but just none of them ever came into a policy of any sorts. So till those get changed, we just don't have a whole lot of options, and I think this will still fit in the ag district, and appreciate them people coming and testifying today and at the other meeting. So that's my comment, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for representing us at planning. Other questions or comments?
My only comment is that the building of a hog or confinement barn, does that make a difference whether somebody spreads the manure on their land? Isn't that correct? Because any farmer can spread manure on their land. Doesn't matter if they have hogs or not. In fact, as Chair Papp said, that he doesn't have hogs and he had much manure. So no matter where this confinement barn would be placed in the county, that manure could be spread on that land. Isn't that correct?
That is correct, yep, as long as it would meet setbacks to dwellings, tile intakes, streams, ditches, things like that.
the only comment I had.
Other comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the report as recommended.
I would move the resolution be passed, or move the resolution on the recommendations of the planning commission.
I will second that.
We have a motion and second. Discussion. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion carried. The resolution is approved. Ask staff to introduce the next item on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. John Considine, County Zoning Administrator. The next item on the agenda is PC 42-24. It's a request for review and approval by MEI, Minnesota Elevator Incorporated, for a new conditional use permit to operate an electrical products manufacture and assembly business within the light industry district. This conditional use permit shall replace and revocate PC 36-00. The property is located in the southeast quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 5 in McPherson Township. The site address is 19336 607th Avenue, Mankato, Minnesota 56001. At the Planning Commission, staff presented the report. Staff did clarify a change in language to the first condition of approval as it relates to the type of product for impervious surface for the paving of an unimproved parking lot area. The applicant was present and available for questions, and following the discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to forward a recommendation of approval to the County Board based on the findings and conditions recommended by staff. So the board action this morning would be passage of the resolution based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, at this time, we'll open the public comment portion of the hearing. If you'd like to make a comment regarding PC 42-24, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Anyone wishing to speak to this? Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Board. My name is Pete Schuler. My business address is 209 Woodlake Drive, Southeast Rochester, Minnesota. I'm here representing MEI. I'm also the proposed general contractor as well as the applicant. We have no issues with the staff recommendations. Here to answer any questions that you might have. We would appreciate your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending. Anyone else wishing to make comment on PC 42-24? I will ask a third and final time, anyone wishing to comment on PC 42-24? Seeing none and hearing none, I will close the public comment portion and bring it back to discussion by the board. Any other clarifying questions or comments from the board?
I don't have any on this item, Mr. Chair.
Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
I would move the recommendation by the planning commission.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. The resolution is approved. This will complete our agenda for the planning and zoning items. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Have a good day.
We will move to item number 5, drainage, starting with tab 3. Morning, Mr. Henniger. Please identify yourself for the record.
Morning, everyone. Ryan Henniker, Property Environmental Resources Drainage Management Coordinator. My first item is County Ditch 41. We will be doing a redetermination of benefits. Blue Earth County Ditch 41 watershed is approximately 750 acres in size and is primarily located in Vernon Center Township. Current benefits listing was first created in 1916. A redetermination of benefits is required to reflect present-day land values. Action requested for today. At today's meeting of the Blue Earth County Drainage Authority, we are requesting an order to appoint viewers to complete a redetermination of benefits for County Ditch 41. That's all I have for that one, Mr. Chair.
All right. What are our wishes? You've heard the recommendation.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The viewer's appointment is approved.
All right, next item involves County Ditch 56, petition to impound, reroute, and divert for portions of Branch 3. Blue Earth County Ditch 56 watershed is approximately 9,400 acres in size and is primarily located in Garden City Township. On November 25th of 2024, a petition to impound, reroute, and divert portions of County Ditch 56, Branch 3, was received on behalf of petitioners from Minnesota Valley Lands, LLC, and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, a bureau of the U.S. Department of Interior. Drainage Authority Attorney Cale R. Van Bruggen of Rinky Noonan reviewed the petition and determined it met all necessary requirements for this proceeding under Minnesota Statute 103E.227. Attorney Van Bruggen also noted that no bond is required for these proceedings, as one of the petitioners is a federal agency. Action requested for today at today's meeting of the Drainage Authority for County Ditch 56. We ask the Drainage Authority to make a motion to accept the filing of a petition to impound, reroute, and divert portions of County Ditch 56, Branch 3, on behalf of Minnesota Valley Lands, LLC, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. That Charles J. Brando of ISG be appointed as the engineer for the Drainage Authority, that the Drainage Authority staff work with the Drainage Authority Legal Counsel to obtain signed commitments for easement for the proposed areas of realignment for portions of CD 56 in anticipation of the final hearing on petition that are non-binding on the Drainage Authority prior to a final order approving the petition. And that upon the filing of the engineer's advisory report, that Drainage Authority staff work to set a hearing date and time and notice the hearing as required under Minnesota Statute 103E. That's all I have for that one, Mr. Chair.
All right, you've heard the action requested. What is your wishes?
I'll move approval.
I'll second it.
Get a motion and a second. Discussion. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion carried. It is approved. The petition to impound, reroute, and divert, as well as appointing the engineer. Thank you.
All right, third item involves County Ditch 59. Blue Earth County Ditch 59 watershed is approximately 2,300 acres in size and located in Ceresco Township. Current benefits listings was created in 1920, and a redetermination of benefits is required to reflect present-day land values. Action requested at today's meeting of the Blue Earth County Drainage Authority. We are requesting an order to appoint viewers to complete a redetermination of benefits for County Ditch 59. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right, you've heard the request and action.
I'll
So,
move it.
second.
A motion and a second. Discussion. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. We'll appoint viewers for redetermination of benefits for CD 59.
Very good. Item number 4 involves County Ditch 63. Blue Earth County Ditch 63 watershed is approximately 1,300 acres in size and located in Decoria Township. A petition for improvement was received on April 29th of 2024. On May 14th, 2024, the County Ditch 63 Drainage Authority appointed Charles J. Brando, P.E. of ISG, as the project engineer. Mr. Brando was ordered to prepare a preliminary survey report. The preliminary survey report was filed with the Blue Earth County Property and Environmental Resources Department on November 8th of 2024. Action requested at today's meeting of the Blue Earth County Drainage Authority. We are requesting the Drainage Authority approve the draft findings in order, setting the date for January 28th, 2025 for that hearing. That is all I have.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. And I'm assuming this will be set at 9
Yeah,
o'clock for
yep.
part of the board meeting.
Yep, it's in the findings, sorry. I could have mentioned
Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The hearing is set for January 28, 2025 for CD 63. Next, please.
All right. Item 5, final one for me, is County Ditch 65. Blue Earth County Ditch 65 watershed is approximately 900 acres in size and located in Judson Township. Current benefits listing was created in 1921, and a redetermination of benefits is required to reflect present-day land values. Action requested. At today's meeting of the Blue Earth County Drainage Authority, we are requesting in order to appoint viewers to complete a redetermination of benefits for County Ditch 65.
I'll move it.
Second.
A motion and second, discussion. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The viewers will be appointed for redetermination of benefits for CD 65. That completes our drainage and number 5.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks, Ryan. At this time, I would ask for a motion and a second to recess the board meeting to hold our Economic Development Authority meeting.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are recessed, and I will call the meeting of the Economic Development Authority to order. First item is to review the agenda. Mr. Meyer, please.
Mr. Chair, there are no changes to the agenda today.
Move the agenda.
Second.
I get a motion and a second. Discussion? Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The agenda is approved as printed. Next, we need to do something with the November 19th minutes. What is your pleasure?
Move the minutes.
Second.
A motion and second. Discussion? Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The November 19th, 2024 minutes are approved. Next item is the Minnesota Cities Participation Program application. I'll ask Nancy and others to come forward, identify yourselves, and review this item for us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Nancy Bokelman, Associate Director of the EDA, and today I brought with me Nicole Cunningham, and she is the Housing Coordinator, and so you'll be seeing her periodically as we approve different things on the agenda over the years. So just wanted to make sure that you had known her as well.
All right, welcome.
And I just wanted to let you know too that we do have Mark Hans, who is the new Community Development Director. He replaced Paul Vogel, and so he came to join the meeting today and get to know him.
Great. Welcome.
The first item that we do have on the agenda is the Minnesota Cities Participation Program, and this is a program that Minnesota Housing manages, and they use tax-exempt bonds to authorized by the Minnesota Management and Budget Committee, and it allows us to provide first-time homebuyer loans within the community without having to go separately and bond for the funds. Minnesota Housing can sell these bonds on behalf of local governments to meet local housing needs. And so this is a program that we use every year. Every year the state goes in to make application for these bonds between January 2nd and January 15th of each year. So they have us fill out this application that we have attached, and it gets submitted with the grant agreement to receive allocation of funding for first-time home buyers. You'll see in the package here, we do have to have a minimum usage of 50% of the allocation that they give us, but every year we have far exceeded that amount. We did kind of give you a history here to show you the first year we started out with 17. The last couple of years we've been kind of slower. We've been at 32 and 28, but this year we actually got up to 49 again, so it's good to see that home buyers are able to purchase homes in our community. And then I did also provide you a copy of the payment schedules, and you'll see that they do allocate for Blue Earth County just over $1 million. But if you go over to the far side, they actually spend closer to $9 million. So there's a big investment through Minnesota Housing to make homeownership possible in our communities. And then the last page for that as well is just kind of a listing of the homes that were purchased here in 2024 and which banks actually participated, so you have an idea of which banks are making a difference in home buyers at an affordable level. So our recommendation is that you authorize the executive director to execute the application to Minnesota Housing for continued participation in the Minnesota Cities Participation Program.
All right, any clarifying questions?
I don't have any, Mr. Chair.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second, discussion. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The Minnesota Cities Participation Program is approved. Next item, please.
The next item is a resolution to approve the 2025 Public Housing Capital Fund. The Public Housing Capital Fund budget traditionally has been approved each year with the PHA annual plan in the fall. That helps to manage the formula funding for modernization of the Mankato public housing units. HUD has now separated the procedures and adjusted timelines for the capital fund budget to align with the annual operating budget process. The 2025 capital fund includes the continued modernization and repair of the public housing units and site improvements required through the RAD process. This plan will also include the repositioning of the public housing through Section 18 conversion and the RAD small PHA blend programs. For 2025, the capital fund budget anticipates $250,000 and provides funding for dwelling improvements, appliances, site improvements, and general operations as presented in the attached budget. The capital fund program for 2025 has been posted for public comment, and a resident advisory meeting was held on November 12th, and no comments on the capital funds were received at that time. The requested action is to approve the resolution of the 2025 capital fund budget as presented.
Okay, thank you. Any clarifying questions?
No.
Okay, this hearing provides an opportunity for citizens to submit comments and recommendations on the proposed plan in a public setting. Are there, at this time, I'll open it up for public comments. Is there anyone wishing to make comments? Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Comments from the public are expected to be civil and respectful. Please note this meeting is being recorded. There's a 5-minute time limit. County Administrator will give you a 1-minute warning and let you know when you've used the allotted time. In addition, the board may restrict or limit the time allotted to a person whose remarks are repetitive or not relevant to the matter under consideration by the board. Is there anyone wishing to make comments? I'll ask again, is there anyone wishing to make comments? I'll ask a third and final time, anyone wishing to make comments on the 2024 Public Housing Capital Fund Program? Seeing and hearing none, I will close the public comment portion of the meeting, bring it back to the board for questions and considerations.
I don't have any questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, it'd be appropriate for a motion and a second to approve. Have a motion
Second.
and a second. Discussion.
It's all good.
Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried, it is approved. The next item is the 2025 EDA Public Housing Operating Budget for consideration. Who's going to do that? You going to do that one? Please.
Okay. The Blue Earth County EDA is required by 24 CFR 990.315 annually to prepare an operating budget and have it reviewed and approved by the Board of Commissioners. This 2025 budget has been adopted by the City of Mankato on December 2nd. The operating budget and resolution will be submitted to HUD with the annual operating subsidy request. Attached, you will find the 2025 operating budget, a copy of the resolution approved by the City Council on December 2nd, 2024, and the proposed EDA resolution to approve the budget. The public housing budget had total revenues of $654,574 with staffing expense of $243,724 and other general expenses of $410,850. The Breckenridge Townhome budgets, the public housing total revenue was $79,672 with staff expense of $20,242 and general operating of $59,430. The market rate units total revenue of $80,500 with staffing expense of $20,242 and general expenses of $48,980. the Housing Choice Voucher Program budget. Total revenue of $603,600 with staff expense of $56,693 and general expenses of $544,021 made up of housing assistance payments. The board is asked to approve by resolution the 2025 operating budget for public housing as presented.
Okay, you've heard the request. What are your wishes?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Good job.
Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The public housing operating budget resolution is approved. Item number 7 on our agenda, tab 5, is the Housing Trust Fund Memorandum of Understanding.
So if you remember, Blue Earth County did identify a need to establish a local housing trust fund during the development of the Affordable Housing Action Plan and established an ordinance for an affordable housing fund on August 27th of '24. The county began the Affordable Housing Trust using statewide affordable aid from the state of Minnesota. And this ordinance set the purpose and intent of a local housing trust fund to encourage and create affordable housing for renters, homeowners, to promote the preservation of affordable housing, and to prevent and end homelessness, as well as provide some rental assistance. The Blue Earth County and the City of Mankato desire to cooperatively establish goals and policies and procedures for affordable housing in our Blue Earth County. We've created this memorandum of understanding that's been developed collaboratively, focused on the attention of affordable housing issues, encourage shared information on successful policies and programs, and provides joint planning for the consistent approach to that which will attract public and private resources to develop affordable housing. The purpose of the MOU is to establish and formalize a framework of collaboration and coordination to improve the efficiencies and outcomes related to the affordable housing in Blue Earth County. The MOU establishes the Housing Trust Fund account that will be maintained by the Mankato EDA. All funds received by Mankato and Blue Earth County on behalf of the trust shall be deposited into the trust account. It lays out shared decision-making between both the EDAs and the working of an advisory committee. And the advisory committee will develop an annual action plan, and it will be reviewed and recommended to the EDAs for loans and grants to create, acquire, rehab affordable housing, as well as to prevent and end homelessness. The requested action is a motion to approve the resolution executing the MOU between Blue Earth County and the City of Mankato for the administration of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Okay, you've heard the request.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion?
You know, I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment. I think this whole time that we've listened to with the Economic Development Authority, we found that the City of Mankato and Blue Earth County really works as a partnership. A lot of times people like to put us at odds with each other, but in most cases, throughout the whole year and throughout everything we do, Mankato and Blue Earth County works as strong partners with each other. This comes really true on housing and issues like that. I think we're very strong. Of course, Nancy, you're a very strong part of that, and I appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome.
Other discussion? Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The memorandum of understanding is approved. This concludes today's agenda. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
We will reconvene the Blue Earth County Commissioners meeting. We are at item number 7, tab number 9, 2024 assessment changes. Mr. Manderford, are you ready for us?
I'm ready.
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mark Manderfeld, Deputy Director of Property and Environmental Resources. I'm here today to report the changes to the 2024 assessment since the closure of the 2024 County Board of Appeal and Equalization that was in June. The assessor is required by statute to report changes to the assessment annually. Most of the changes in your packet are a result of special program implementations, such as the disabled veterans exclusion, blind disabled exclusion, those things. There's also classification changes in there and homestead status changes. So if somebody received a homestead or lost a homestead. And the majority of the changes that you see here are due to the fact that most of the programs that are special program, property tax programs, their applications actually fall later in the year after the close of the County Board of Appeal and Equalization. So the board does not need to approve these. They've already been implemented, but we do request that you make them a part of your official record by adopting them.
All right, any discussion?
No.
And entertain a motion to receive and file then?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Merry
Mark.
Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Catch you later.
We are at item number 8, tab number 10, Community Corrections. Morning, John.
Morning.
Morning.
Please join us and identify yourself.
John Marsalic, Community Corrections Director. All right, I have 2 items for you this morning. The first is a contracted bed agreement with Carver County. Attached to this memo, you'll find a contract agreement with Carver County for 1 secure bed per day at the Juvenile Detention Center located at their jail. This agreement will secure 1 bed per day in detention for the calendar year 2025. The per diem would be $200 per day. This contract is shared with Nicolet County Community Corrections. The total amount of the contract is $73,000. Nicolet County shall compensate Carver County in the amount of $12,000, and Blue Earth County shall compensate Carver County in the amount of $61,000. The agreement was based upon a review of bed days used by each county thus far in 2024. I would respectfully request that the Blue Earth County Board of Commissioners approve the contracted bed agreement between Blue Earth County and Carver County.
Okay, you've seen and heard the recommendation.
I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? We're ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The contracted is approved with Carver County. Next, please, John.
On to the next one. It is a contracted bed agreement with Prairie Lakes Youth Programs. Attached to the memo, you'll find a contract agreement with Prairie Lakes Youth Programs for 1 secure bed per day at their program in Wilmer. This agreement will secure 1 bed per day in detention and their secure corrections program for calendar year 2025. The per diem for this agreement is $440 per day, and any cost for unused bed days would be split between Community Corrections and Blue Earth County Human Services. The total amount of this agreement would be $160,600. The agreement also includes prioritized access to the non-secure and group home programs, which are also located under the umbrella of Prairie Lakes Youth Programs. I would respectfully request that the Blue Earth County Board of Commissioners approve the contracted bed agreement between Blue Earth County and Prairie Lakes Youth Programs.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Question, is that $440 per day when we use it, or is we have to pay the $160 upfront?
We would pay, no, we don't pay the $160 upfront. We pay it each month as we go. So essentially you're paying per day, that per diem of $440, whether or not somebody is
Whether or not somebody's there, we're
Correct.
paying it no matter what.
Yes. I will say in 2024 to date, we have essentially had somebody in that bed the entire year.
Okay.
Wow.
So the bed usage really only takes one you could say a significant event, or one kid that requires, that level of programming. And I can tell you that right now I believe we have, not just in secure, but in secure and non-secure as well, we have, I think, 4 kids in their program. But we do use that secure bed, throughout the year. It really is hard to predict, the usage, but I can say for this year, we have had somebody in the majority of the year.
Is there enough beds in Minnesota to cover the usage we require?
We've been in a pinch in the past. This will be our 3rd year utilizing these contracts with Carver and Prairie Lakes. And we really have not had issues since we've had the contracts to make sure we have a bed available to us. That said, we do run into times where you are looking at having to utilize a location that may be less desirable. I'll just say like Tri-County up in Crookston. They have a secure detention facility, and we may need to use that for a short period of time if Prairie Lakes does not have a bed available to us. We're guaranteed our one bed, but there are rare occasions where you may need that bed that's not closer than, you know, someplace up north. Carver's our closest facility. Prairie Lakes is still 2 hours away, and there are situations where we have to go even further. So we've been able to locate the beds, but sometimes you do have a longer drive for a deputy that has to go up and transport a kid up to Crookston, you know, for a detention stay, and that's not desirable at all, which has been, you know, the benefit of having these contracts as well. It also shortens the drive time for deputies and transport officers that have to make these transports. So in a general sense, there's still a shortage of bed space in the state of Minnesota. One of the things at a presentation at the conference last week was they're looking to expand a psychiatric treatment facility in Moorhead because there's just this ongoing need out there for psychiatric residential treatment facility beds as well. There seems to be a continued shortage of those.
One more question. So it's $440 a day, that's for one person.
Correct.
We're spending, like, if we have four children or 4 people up there, 4 children up there, we're spending $440 per person.
This reduced rate that Prairie Lakes gives us is $10 less per day than their regular per diem. And so for kid number 1, you'll pay $440 a day. If you have a second kid in this year program, you get $450 a day for that per diem. In their non-secure programs, their per diems will be less than that. And so specifically in the secure program, the discount that we receive is a discount of $10 per day. So juvenile number 1 would be at $440. Juvenile number 2 would be at $450. And then any other kids that we have in the program are subject to the regular per diems in their non-secure programming or over in their group homes that they run over there as well.
Is that the same with Carver County too?
Carver County's rates for 2025 are going to be, so with our contracted rate, it's an increase from $120 a day to $200 a day. If we did not have a contract with Carver County, we would be charged $300 per day. Okay. So the benefit for Carver County is $100 per day.
All right.
Yep.
Just shows the need for...
Yes, absolutely. You know, and it's been a good partnership with Nicola County for us. You know, they utilize the detention center with Carver County much less than we do, but it still shows that we are getting a fairly significant, you know, decrease in the per diem at $200 a day by utilizing the contract versus $300 for non-contracted counties.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Information. Other questions? Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The contract is agreed to. Thank you, John.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
Thanks, John.
Christmas. We are agenda item number 9, tab 12, Human Services. Mr. Clausen, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Phil.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I have a number of contracts to bring before you today. One informational item that we can discuss as best we can. The question, Mr. Chair, if you want to take these in sections or one at a time, there are quite a few. So that's why I asked.
Recommendation from the administrator?
Historically, we've approved them all at the end, so
Okay.
maybe just work through them.
And I'm okay with that. I would just ask the board members if there's some specific questions or concerns to bring them up as they go through in case I don't like to divide the question. So, all right, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First section is public health, 3 items. First of those being the master contract. This is an umbrella contract that really gives a structure for us in our agreement with all contracts that flow through the MDH, through the Department of Health. There is no money attached to this particular agreement, and the individual contracts have the rates in them. This umbrella contract is effective January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 29. The next item kind of goes in step with that, where there's a foundational grant agreement, this is a large agreement that goes under public health, under that umbrella that we just talked about. It is a statutory responsibility for our local public health and community health boards to distribute this money as you all best see fit. The combined funding sources increased from $431,297 to $500,570, a 16% increase from last term. It is a 5-year agreement as well, January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 29. Third item under public health is child and teen checkup. This is something the board has been familiar with. Outreach to children ages birth through 20 years old who are enrolled in medical assistance. It really is to ensure proper health and medical services for these children and their families. The funding for the program 25 is $90,683, which is a 15% increase. It is based on the children enrolled, and you'll see we went up about 500 children in 24, so that's what drives the amount in the contract. The term January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 25. The next section is disability services. There are some similar contracts with different vendors. The first, Ethical Solutions, Power of Attorney contract. This is to facilitate financial services for people in need of what we refer to as conservatorship. So that's usually the fiscal aspects of a person's needs to help manage their money and decisions about their resources for vulnerable adults. The rate is $52.49 per hour in 25, and then it goes up in 26 to $53.54, 2% increase from those 2 years, and the contract term is January 1 of 25 through December 31st of 26. The next contract is similar, although it's about guardianship. So guardianship is broader than conservatorship. Usually it's decision-making in the full array. So what people need for their daily cares, what medical services they might need, the guardian would be involved in all of those decisions, not just the fiscal, but also including the fiscal. The guardianship initial cost for the meeting is $500 to set up the guardianship, and then there's a breakout of other pieces that can be added, an updated plan, decision-making meeting can be held. These are $75 each. The 2-year contract, January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 26. Lutheran Social Services, also very similar contract to the one we just went over, power of attorney contract, same purpose for conservatorship as the first item under this section, and for eligible vulnerable adults, and the rates for 2025 for Lutheran Social Services is $61.02, and for 26, $62.24, also a 2% increase. Term is January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 26. And finally, Southern Minnesota Power of Attorney contract, same purpose. The rates for 25 for Southern Minnesota, $51 per hour, and for 26, $52.02. Also a 2% increase from 25 to 26. Term January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 26. The next section is Children and Family Services. Greater Minnesota Family Services provides us the family group decision-making contract. This service really is about bringing families and their support people all together at the table and trying to come up with a plan when they're involved in child protection, collectively, using all those supports and people willing to help come up with a progress plan. The term of this is January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 25. The cost is the same as 2024, which is $1,580 per meeting. And it's billed in a 2-tier system. We pay 40% of the costs up front when the referral is made, and 60% after the meeting has occurred. We heard John share from Corrections how complicated some of these can be, but we also have a minimum of 10 meetings that we're required to cover. It is not a problem for us to cover those 10 meetings. You'll see the smaller counties listed have a minimum of 3 meetings each. So we, I think, across the board go over those minimums, but they did that just to float their boat and make sure that they have their costs covered. So that is the Greater Minnesota contract. And then Children's Mental Health, Woodland Center, purchase of service agreement for their adolescent crisis stabilization services. Again, not completely different in the purpose of what John was talking about with some of our secure detention facilities. These are for acute short-term services. It's not considered incarceration or that it's locked facilities, but there are capacity to serve more severe mental health and behavioral health emergencies that don't meet psychiatric hospitalization criteria. The rate of 2025 will be $700, which is a 3.7% increase, and from the rate that was $675. This one also has an additional $3,000 annual administrative fee that goes with that. January 1st, 25 through December 31st of 25 is the term. Carlson Counseling is a vendor who provides us parenting capacity evaluations for families involved in child protection case for the court. So it's really an assessment of abilities for a parent to parent. The hope of all those efforts are to come up with a plan for reunification. The rates are for a 2-year agreement. They have not increased since the last agreement in this contract. The term is January 25 through December 31st of 26. The amount of that parenting assessment is $1,900 per assessment. Next section, adult mental health, one item, Department of Human Services, Behavioral Health Division, Community Support Program. This is our program which is statutorily mandated to provide community-based services to individuals who have serious and persistent mental illness. Those are 5 diagnoses that fall under that category. This grant is provided to the counties for the years 25 and 26. The total for each year being $330,223, and that is the same amount as the 2 previous years, which we all know is not always great news because costs go up for this. Mental Health Clinic, shared service agreement with Minnesota Forensic Services. This is Melinda Henderson, for those of you that know her. She's been with us for a long time. We have a shared service agreement with the state for her to provide advanced practice nursing for psychiatric prescriptions in our mental health center. This is a renewal. Much like ourselves, the wages at the state changed somewhat dramatically, and for Melinda in particular, increased from $77.15 to $91.99. It's a 19% increase, and it included general wage adjustment, a range reassignment for Melinda, and her wage was also increased just being a state employee. So all that coupled together with that increase. It is true that this is still in line with the other prescribers that we have that are advanced practice level prescribers. So it doesn't put us way out of bounds. It was kind of our better deal in some of these ways. So it's more commensurate. The term, January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 25. Financial assistance, we have interpreter contracts. This first one with Lingual One for non-English speaking clients. No change in the rate for the interpreter services for 25 contract. There was a change for translation services, so when you take maybe a document and need to change the language that it's written in, it was at 50 cents a word, which got to be quite expensive, and so we asked for that to be lowered to 25 cents per word, which is more in line with the standard of that service. It's not used very often, but it can add up quickly when we do need it. Term January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 25. And South Sudanese Community of Minnesota contract, also an interpreter contract for Sudanese speaking clients. They also assist with the applications forms and the interview process through financial assistance. $70 for the first hour and $17.50 for additional hours, which is the same as last year's contract. The term of the contract, January 1st of '25 through December 31st of '25. The final action item has to do with our advisory committees. We have social service, a task force, mental health task force as well.
By the way, should we do that
Yep.
separately, maybe?
Certainly
I
could.
mean, we've got 14 contracts and agreements and everything else. Let's not mix advisory committee with contracts, if that's okay with everybody.
I'll move approval.
Yep, second. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Discussion on any of the 14. And
No,
thank you.
a lot of stuff, Phil.
Thank you for not bringing it up as we were on it. I appreciate that.
It's a lot.
Sounds like we could vote all on it at once. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. Those contracts, agreements are all approved now. Let's go with advisory, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, one other additional action item is it's under administration for our advisory committees. These are volunteers that agree to represent the community on the Human Service Task Force and the advisory committee that meets regularly. The recommended list in your packet shows two different sections. The first of those being new appointments, so I will read those, Mr. Chair, and then maybe not read through all the reappointments because they are people that have been involved in the past, and we're just asking the board to reappoint them. The new appointments are Aaron Lehman, District 1 for the Human Service Advisory Committee, Heidi Sampson, District 4, Social Service Task Force, and Jenny Valamant, and she is Social Service Task Force. So those, along with the reappointments, would be our request for approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Certainly as part of this, the new appointments, I'm assuming we have some retired. We certainly want to thank them for their
Sure.
service as well.
Yes, sir.
Other discussion? We're ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The advisory committee and task force appointments are approved.
Thank you, sir. We draw the board's attention to the grid on the very back page, I believe, of your packet, but it just shows vacancies. We're always looking for other people, and as the chair said, we do have people coming and go from the different committees, so within your district, if you know of anybody, we're always glad to talk to them. Noelle Brunder is a great contact for them to call if they have questions, and we can help try to see if it's a good fit for them and for us. Just backing up, I did add at Bob's request just informational item about the Minnesota African American Family Preservation Act. I know at AMC you heard talk about this. The plan that I understand currently is that Ramsey and Hennepin will be piloting this in this year, and so we'll learn from that. I think what we learn, is subject to the fact that those are really big counties compared to ours. So some of it will apply, some of it won't. They're metro, we aren't. And how that might impact us down the road here in '26. We do have in place, and I think most commissioners are aware of the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act. It's been in place for many years. It requires us to just work in concert with the tribes. That's what it does. And so if we have a child that is part of a tribe, we have to show that respect. We go to them first. We coordinate their care. We make sure we basically get their approval for everything we're doing, and we work in concert. I think that concept lays over this concept very well. It's going to broaden, children and families of color that identify with the culture, where we're going to be asked to match the services with that culture. It's a really good endeavor, there's no doubt. It's just going to be a lot of extra work. And if you can imagine, especially in our community, there may not be therapeutic outlets or certain types of supports that a family might need, and that means more transportation, more coordination, and more planning. In the end, I think we all can support the idea that it's good to have children and families fit with people that they identify in their own culture. But that is not an easy undertaking. So we'll see how it goes in the metro, and we'll learn from that, and we'll certainly keep the board informed of how that is starting to present itself. The costs associated with it, of course, with our budget concerns, is the big issue. There's just no doubt that it's going to take more time and effort, and that means staff hours coordinating care rather than providing care. So that's kind of my nutshell. I don't know if there are any questions, Mr. Chair. Or
Well, I guess maybe a question, but first a comment. Bob was right. It came up at AMC every day. I'm not so sure. It did almost come up every session and many times. A lot of concerns. This is going to be extremely costly to all the Minnesota counties. One of the things we'd heard as we looked at policies and things like that, it was referenced, I think every day, of a survey that was done, and we heard anywhere from 22, then it became 41. Some used the number 48 of the Minnesota counties that have completed their survey or questionnaire. Where is Blue Earth County? Are we one of the 41?
we are. We're done with the survey, yeah. I think my only comment on that is I think we're kind of shooting in the dark a little bit, Mr. Chair, about how we put those numbers together. And like I said to Bob, like we didn't put any supervisor time in there, as once this pans out, you know, how do we support the work staff are doing if it becomes more? And how is that money going to look so that we can also administrate the plan, not just provide the staffing hours? So some of those things cause us some concern even after we submitted, saying, yeah, it's gonna take more staff time, but it might take more administrative time too, and how do you accurately guess at that? And so we took a guess, and we are completed with that, yes.
Thank you for that. And yeah, there was a lot of discussion, a lot of counties that talked about what it's going to do. It's going to redirect some resources, staff time, to doing this and eliminating some of that nice to do. And this is another one of those unfunded mandates that has no dollars with it. Will be extremely expensive.
Right.
Other questions or discussions?
Nope.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays to all of you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Phil.
Take care.
We're at item number 10, starting with tab number 13, administrative report. Bob, please.
Well, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, the first item is the county board minutes for December 3rd.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion? Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The December 3rd minutes are approved as printed.
Next are the bills for the 2 weeks indicated.
I'll move the bills.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried. The bills are approved.
Item number 15 in your packet is the Human Resources Department agenda. Just have informational items for the board today, starting with the resignation of a social worker. I'm in Choice's assessor, and so we've initiated recruitment to refill that position. We also had a resignation of a clerical specialist 2 in our drug task force. Then we had a resignation of a 911 telecommunicator. We've initiated recruitment to refill that position. Then we have filled a correctional officer in the jail. And lastly, we had a resignation of a property and environmental resources specialist 2. So be happy to answer any questions the board might have about any of those informational items.
Okay, seeing that, continue.
Well, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, in your packet at tab 16 is a resolution that's required by Minnesota statute certifying the 2025 property tax levy. Blue Earth County staff began working on the budget in April of this year. Meetings with department heads were held in June. Work sessions with the county Board of Commissioners occurred throughout the summer, resulting in this levy of $47,835,825. This proposed levy is a 6% increase over the levy that was assessed in 2024. I'm recommending the 2025 property tax levy of $47,835,825 be certified to the Blue Earth County Finance Director.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation.
I'll move it.
Second.
We have a motion and seconds, discussion. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried, the levy is approved.
The next item in the packet is the 2025 budget. As a reminder, we did hand out a corrected version of this resolution. Minnesota Statute 375A.06 requires the county administrator to prepare and submit an annual budget and long-range capital expenditure program to the county board. As I mentioned previously, staff began working on the budget in April and has been reviewed numerous times in work sessions with the county board. As such, I'm recommending the approval of a resolution regarding the 2025 budget, which projects expenditures at $150,737,702.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, discussion. And again, like you pointed out, the packet online is all correct except with the total was not moved up correctly to the top. Otherwise, all other numbers are correct.
Right, the sentence in the packet that says now therefore be it resolved that the budget, the amount listed there was inaccurate, should match the numbers in the columns down below.
Ah, yes.
Okay. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried, the budget is approved, and on behalf of the whole board, thank you and all the staff. This isn't a small project, this is many months. We appreciate the hard work, and we got this one approved, so you can start working on the next one.
It does start soon, and thank you for that, but there was a lot of people that contribute to the development of that budget, and it does take a lot of time and energy, but folks are really good about working through issues throughout that process.
Thank you. Next.
Item number 18 in the packet is a memo regarding salary adjustments. It's been Blue Earth County's practice to approve general wage adjustments for all non-union employees, supervisors, county department heads, and elected officials that are the same as those that are negotiated with our unions. We have a number of unions that have settled contracts at a 3 1/4% general wage adjustment, and so we're recommending that same level effective January 1st of 25. We also list the proposed county commissioner salary for 2025 at $51,417.
I'll move it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, discussion. We ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's carried.
Item number 19 in the packet is a memo regarding the 2025 per diem rate. Each year, the county board establishes the per diem rate, and the various boards and commissions eligible for those per diems. We're recommending no change to those per diems, so $100 per day, calculated at $60 per half day, where the start of the first meeting is completed within 4.5 hours, increasing to $100 if it goes beyond that threshold. So same concept or application as has been in 2024.
You've heard the recommendation.
I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, discussion. We're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried.
Item number 20 in your packet is a memo regarding per diems for the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment. The crux of this analysis indicates that Slight adjustment in those rates is recommended. You'll see that we did survey a number of counties to see what they pay, and it ranges from a low of $25 per meeting to a high of $150 a day plus mileage. We're currently at $60 for one meeting and $30 if there's a second meeting for some of those members that serve both on the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustment. We're recommending an increase to $70 for the first meeting and having the second meeting remain at $30. So going basically from a $90 per diem if there's two meetings to a $100 per diem.
I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? We're ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's carried.
Item number 21 then in your packet is a memo regarding reimbursement policy for meal allowances. We're currently at a reimbursement rate of $15 for breakfast, $20 for lunch, $25 for dinner, and out of state $100 per day. Staff are proposing an increase of $5 per meal for all the in-state meals and leaving the out-of-state meal level at $100 per day. So making that recommendation for the board's consideration today.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation. Your wishes?
So moved.
Have a motion
Second.
and second. Discussion? We're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carried.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 22 in your packet is a memo with some information regarding information on Public Works underbody wash system. This is a system that can be purchased under a cooperative purchasing arrangement, but this is for our wash bay at the new Public Works facility. The cost is at $89,197.46, and so recommending approval of this particular underbody wash system.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Discussion? We ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's carried.
Item number 23 in the packet then is the financial status report for November 30th. The second to the last month of our fiscal year. You'll see our total revenues sit at $117.4 million. Total expenses are at $123.6 million. So we are in a deficit status at this point. Couple of things to draw your attention to. We have collected the majority of the second half taxes, and so up towards the top, the third line down, the local tax levy shows that we have collected 98.5% of our anticipated property taxes. Our transportation sales tax revenue, the next line down, is running about 9% below last year. Still fairly consistent with our budget, just a little bit below our target there, but certainly something we haven't seen in prior years. We've been on kind of this constant increase in that transportation sales tax line, but it might be a minor indicator of some economic issues in our county. On the plus side, our interest on investments is up 17.5% from last year, and obviously much higher than we had anticipated when this budget was initially created last year. So very positive returns on our investment. On the expenditure side, our personal services, our salary and benefits are tracking very well with our budget. Contracts for and fees line is up considerably from last year, although just running a little bit over what our budget would be. Some of that is related to public works contracts that the timing of when those occurred compared to the budget are off a little bit. So all in all, not really that surprising to me. We did have a surplus last year. Looks like we'll have a bit of a deficit at the end of 2024 based on some timing of payments. The enterprise fund towards the bottom of that page then shows total revenues for the Ponderosa landfill at 4.8 million, expenses sit at 4.65, so just a little bit of a surplus there. That's good considering you look at the machinery and equipment line, we have $1.7 million of expenditures there, so good outcome. The second page shows our cash and investment balances. Towards the top, you'll see our total available funds at just over 78 million. Our 6-month target is 62.5 million, so we're running a little above at this point in that comparison. Down towards the bottom, you'll see our total county funds sit at 135.6 million, which is down about 3 million from this time last year. Be happy to answer any questions the board might have at this point.
Questions on the financial status report?
Nope, looks good, strong.
Great. Anything else?
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
It moves us to agenda item number 11, Commissioner reports on committee. Probably for the last time, Commissioner Brunder, you get to go first.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. After our last meeting, got together and had a planning and zoning and drainage meeting with Bob, Kevin, and Mark Manderfield. We just talked about some issues that we have going on out in the rural area. It's every couple months, very informative to us rural commissioners to kind of keep ahead of some of the projects we got going on. Had our budget hearing that night, which Bob did a great job. I thought it was very well attended by the staff. One person from the public, which that's okay. I would just take that as a mark that we're doing a good job and people don't have to come challenge us and talk with us. And I think we're good about answering questions throughout the year too. When people have questions, I know when people approach me, we connect them with the right people and we get them questions answered as we go through the year. I also attended the department head meeting. That night I had planning and zoning, which y'all have already seen that this morning. I got up to AMC, did a couple drainage seminars, and then participated in the MCIT annual meeting. And then last week, at the end of the week, we had our Blue Earth County Township Officers meeting, and it was Lyle's last meeting. He unfortunately did not win his re-election and had a few words to say, but he has done a great job for the townships and planning and zoning here in Blue Earth County years ago. But my understanding was 40 years. Is that what I heard somebody say? 40 years.
Yeah,
so good for him and his retirement. And that, and then just some other road issues and a couple planning and zoning things that are coming up. Mr. Chair, that's my report.
Thank you. Mark?
Okay, well then on the, I have it labeled, it's Truth and Taxation meeting we had on the 3rd December. And then did have the department heads meeting on the 4th December. And then of course our quarterly meeting, the township meeting, then on the 12th December. And I've been busy otherwise, but that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Patty?
December 3rd, the budget hearing. On the 5th, I had a TDS Personnel Committee meeting. On the 8th, I headed up to AMC. And on the 12th, the townships. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Vance?
I also attended the budget hearing. On the 4th, we had a department head meeting, and then I had a Blue Earth Nicolet County Safe Roads meeting. That evening I had a Highway 169 corridor annual winter meeting. On the 5th I had a regional TZD committee meeting. I also went up to the AMC conference on the 8th, came back on the 11th. attended the township meeting, and then yesterday I had a MRCI board meeting and a Transportation Alliance board meeting. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. My report is similar. December 3rd, the P&Z and Drainage Update Meeting. I attended the budget hearing, participated in the NACO meetings on the 4th through the 6th. Sustainable water management. We were at tour at the dam when they had the earthquake out there. Also spent about half a day touring and hearing directly from their emergency manager on their 2017 fire. I've learned we don't want to have a fire in Blue Earth County to that magnitude. They lost 7,000 structures in one night, evacuated 100,000 people overnight. Unfortunately, 22 lives were lost in a fire that moved 20 miles in 4 hours. Covered over 36,000 acres altogether. So interesting listening to their emergency management on that. Also attended the AMC annual meeting, participated in the board meeting, the Ag and Rural Conference, as well as in environmental policy. I was elected chairman of the environment policy. On the 12th in the morning, we had a drainage working group meeting, and then that was also the day that AMC leadership met with the commissioners. Up in St. Paul, we met with leadership of Bowser, MPCA, and DNR. That afternoon was a Soil Water Conservation District meeting that I participated in, as well as the township officers that was mentioned. On the 13th, Julie and I went down to Martin County. They had 3 retiring commissioners, had a little reception for them. We went down there to wish them well. And then 16th, yesterday, meetings with the elected officials at the Ponderosa, as well as a JD 48 landowner meeting. That concludes my report. At this time, on the agenda, it would be appropriate for a motion to recess.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. We are in recess. Thank you.
Good job, Mr. Chair.